Brother-in-law to the President Cyril Ramaphosa and the richest black man in South Africa, Patrice Motsepe, is now widely being tipped as his successor as President of South Africa. But while many seem to hope that this is a sign of a future of pro-business reform, evidence points to the contrary. The fact that shady deals by corrupt globalist elites have been at work grooming Patrice Motsepe for this specific role for many decades now. Because the reality is that for over 3 decades, South Africa has been ruled by politicians who claim to represent the masses in their speeches, but behind the scenes, the real power in this country has always remained in the hands of a small network of elites with globalist aspirations. And now, as Cyril Ramaphosa prepares to step down in his role, those same elites appear to be ready to appoint their latest puppet. Next year, Cyril Ramaphosa is expected to finally retire from the ANC presidency following a decade at the helm of the party as well as the country. By all indications, Ramaphosa is the least popular president in South African history, given that in the 2024 election, his party got the lowest percentage of vote any ruling party in South Africa had since 1948. In fact, under his leadership, the ANC dropped from 62% in the last general election under the leadership of Jacob Zuma to barely over 40% today. The main reason for this is, of course, the fact that the largest ethnic group in South Africa, the Zulu people, have firmly consolidated their support behind Zuma's MK party. As can be expected, those who wish to see the ANC flourish are eager to appoint someone new as the party leader, whom they believe can take the party forward and regain the votes. As one ANC insider put it, Motsepe is now needed for, and I quote, stabilizing the center of power before the ANC implodes on itself. And because the president of the ANC has since 1994 also always been appointed as the new president of the country, and the man now being widely tipped to succeed Ramaphosa as head of state is his own brother-in-law, Motsepe. But who exactly is Patrice Motsepe, and why the specific push for him to become the country's next head of state? Stay tuned, because in today's video, we uncovered the whole truth of the real Motsepe. You see, Patrice Motsepe was born on 28 January 1962 in Ga-Rankuwa, one of the townships associated with the Bophuthatswana homeland at the time. He was named after the Congolese president Patrice Lumumba, who had been assassinated by Katagan successionist soldiers loyal to their leader Moise Tshombe. Patrice Motsepe's father operated several small businesses that catered to mine workers in and around Bophuthatswana, including grocery stores, a restaurant and a liquor hall. Motsepe did not have an ordinary childhood and came from a very privileged background, attending a private Roman Catholic boarding school, earning a bachelor's degree from the University of Swaziland and thereafter a law degree from the University of Witwatersrand, also known as WITS. Motsepe worked as a lawyer specializing in mining and commercial law, and in 1988 he joined the prominent corporate law firm Bowman Gilfillan in Johannesburg. Here he would become the first black full partner of this firm in 1993. Although Motsepe was never a member of the ANC during the time of apartheid and only joined the party in the 90s after the party took power, his ties with the ANC and the Ramaphosa family were solidified in 1996 when Cyril Ramaphosa married Tshepo Motsepe, Patrice Motsepe's sister. By then, Motsepe had left Bowman Gilfillan and founded Future Mining, a small company that would later develop into African Rainbow Minerals, which would eventually, through a long series of merger deals, end up capitulating Motsepe to become the 6th man in South African history and only the 3rd non-Jewish man to become a dollar billionaire and also the biggest beneficiary of black economic empowerment in South African history. Motsepe has consequently heavily invested in African soccer. In 2003, he bought the South African club Mamelodi Sundowns, and in 2021, he was elected president of the Confederation of African Football after other candidates withdrew following negotiations supported by FIFA, leaving Motsepe as the only consensus candidate. But what exactly and how exactly was Motsepe enabled to, within the space of less than a decade, go from a middle-class Johannesburg lawyer to one of the wealthiest men on the continent? Well, from its very beginning, African Rainbow Minerals was presented as a transforming mining group, aligning itself firmly with the ANC's political goals of black economic empowerment. This allowed the company to seal deals that would allow it to be heavily privileged with the inauguration of the BEE dispensation that happened just a few years after it was formed. In 2001, the African mining giant Anglo Platinum announced an so-called empowerment deal with Motsepe's consortium, under which a 50-50 joint venture would be established in the form of Modikwa Platinum Mine, a 50-50 partnership for which Motsepe did not have to pay a cent. This large platinum mine in Limpopo was a very significant BEE deal because of platinum becoming the most valuable metal in South Africa's mining sector, and because Modikwa is located in the Bushveld complex, which is the richest platinum deposit on earth, and because we know that before BEE was introduced 2 years later, this was already how Anglo Platinum positioned itself to align with the requirements set out by black economic empowerment 2 years later, of which they had prior knowledge. More significantly, it perfectly positions Motsepe to benefit the most from the introduction of the then Black Economic Empowerment Act and its ownership laws. This act that was introduced in 2003 had one of its very first laws introduced under its act as the so-called Mining Charter. This law was sanctioned by the Department of Minerals and Energy, and it required a 26% black ownership of every mining asset in this country. When this policy was introduced, it created a huge demand for black ownership partners in mining companies. And so, voila, Motsepe's company African Rainbow Minerals enters the fold as the only one that already had mining experience, had existing partnerships that were formed with knowledge of the law before it happened, with major companies, and most importantly, enjoyed an intimate connection with the ANC government power structure. Moreover, its ownership structure immediately put it on the right side of the law and policy, while many incumbents still had to scramble to catch up because they did not have such prior knowledge. In 2005, Motsepe's broad-based Black Economic Empowerment Trust brought 28.6 million shares in African Rainbow Minerals from Harmony Gold Mining Company. However, this BEE Trust did not have the money to buy the shares, so the purchase was financed with a Black Economic Empowerment loan from Nedbank. This move significantly improved ARM's regulatory and political positioning in line with Black Economic Empowerment laws. This allowed African Rainbow Minerals to simply repeat the process of establishing joint ventures with already established mining companies by virtue of supplying the Black Economic Empowerment credentials and political connections to such companies. Examples of this include other ventures such as Two Rivers and Bokoni. The Two Rivers mine in Steelpoort Valley was developed as a joint BEE venture between ARM and Impala Platinum, while the Bokoni Platinum mine was located near Burgersfort originated as a joint BEE venture between ARM and Anglo American Platinum. I could go on and name more examples, but to put it simply to you, this entire process was just repeated over and over and over again until Motsepe became the richest black man in South Africa, and of course, the biggest beneficiary of black economic empowerment in this country's history, and probably the biggest beneficiary of black economic empowerment that this country will ever see. And now Motsepe is being widely tipped as a successor to Ramaphosa, and evidence suggests that a small group of globalist elites may have been grooming him for this position all along. In the case of Ramaphosa, he had been groomed from a very young age by the Oppenheimer family through their Urban Foundation. Anthony Butler's Ramaphosa biography decisively showed how this mining investor, Clive Manel, helped to bring Ramaphosa into the Urban Foundation orbit. This very same Manel family spearheaded the mining company Anglo-Fol along with the Herschel family, which merged with Motsepe's Rainbow Mineral Consortium to propel him into riches unknown by any black man in history. When Anglo-Fol's mining assets were restructured in the early 2000s and folded into African Rainbow Minerals, Motsepe was elevated to the position of executive chairman of the newly formed group. In effect, one of the country's historic mining conglomerates was transformed into a BEE-compliant structure with Motsepe at its head and as the face of the newfound empire built on black economic empowerment. Furthermore, it is immensely strange that when running for the CAF presidency, all of Motsepe's opposition suddenly withdrew following closed-door meetings in which it was reported that they struck undisclosed deals, leaving him unopposed. During this process, there were indeed several CAF officials who allegedly said that there were improper election interference in this regard. And it is vitally important that the significance of getting Motsepe this role goes far beyond just sport. The Confederation of African Football is one of the largest continental organizations in Africa, representing 54 national football associations and operating one of the biggest media and sponsorship platforms on the continent. As its president, Motsepe suddenly found himself traveling across Africa, meeting every single head of state, sports minister, and federation leaders. In effect, this position transformed him from a South African mining magnate into a continental political figure with name recognition across the entire continent of Africa. So, just as Ramaphosa moved from labor activism into the corporate world before eventually assuming political leadership of the ANC, Motsepe's trajectory follows the exact same path, a path that leads from corporate power into continental public leadership in football administration. In both these cases, the transition from business influence to political authority through institutions occurred in a manner that has always been deeply intertwined with the interests of South Africa's historic mining and financial elites. Today, Patrice Motsepe has a net worth of just under $4.5 billion, making him one of the wealthiest men not only in South Africa, but on the entire continent. The wealth he had accrued, however, is directly tied to his political connections with the ANC and the consequent political capital he could offer the big players in South Africa's mining industry. In 2022, a civil society activist filed a criminal complaint against Cyril Ramaphosa, which also referenced Motsepe directly for buying 4 Ankole cows at one of Ramaphosa's auctions for about 4.7 million rands, including just one for 2.1 million. These prices were roughly 10 times the prices that high-stud Ankole cattle usually go for. It was alleged in this criminal complaint that the transaction was disguised payments for bribes or kickbacks linked to possible government favors for Motsepe on the part of Ramaphosa. Under Motsepe's presidency of the Confederation of African Football, the organization has also suffered a massive, well-reported governance crisis, including disputed investigations, accounting irregularities, and cases of irregular interference, with hundreds of millions simply going missing under his leadership. And the honest question that needs to be asked is whether a man under whose leadership corruption is so rampant at the Confederation of African Football has any real political will to stop the very same corruption and mismanagement currently crippling South Africa today. This is highly doubtful, and what is an established fact is that the billions he made is little more than the result of merely being one of the politically connected elite black people to have capitalized on the discriminatory and unjust black economic empowerment regime that has been systematically destroying South Africa's economy for the last 3 decades. But black economic empowerment is exactly how Motsepe makes his money, and because of that, if he were to become South Africa's president, is virtually guaranteed to expand black economic empowerment, as he himself is the biggest beneficiary of black economic empowerment in this country's history. And the evidence points to Motsepe, like Ramaphosa, being groomed for this position over so many decades by a small group of globalist elites with special interest, especially in South Africa's mining sector. These global elites constitute a very small group of people who actually benefit massively from the oppressive economic policies in South Africa, such as BEE, which greatly contributes to impoverishing the masses in South Africa, regardless of race. In a recent video, we highlighted the ways in which BEE is making everyone in this country, but ironically especially the black citizenry, significantly poorer. Check out that full report by clicking on this link appearing on your screen right now. And do help us continue to make videos such as these by becoming a paying member of the Willem Petzer Group. Simply follow the easy steps on the banner. Only with your investment are we able to make videos such as these every single day. Goodbye and God bless.